Hello. Maxime is going to come out a little bit later. I'm going to start things off. My name is James MacAulay. I've been at Shopify for a while now. In a couple weeks, I think it's going to be 9 years. And I've gotten to work on a lot of really exciting projects. What I'm going to talk to you about today is one that I've been working on for a while now, the sales channel SDK. We're going to dig into it in a little bit more detail. We're not going to go over every endpoint, every field. There's the docs for that. But what we want to do today is give you the confidence to understand what a sales channel really is, what's involved in building one, so you can go to the docs and get ready for when we launch this stuff in April. Over the years that I've been at Shopify, I've built APIs before, but this one is pretty different. This one really gets at the core of what commerce is, and it lets us open up our platform in a way that we haven't done before. So let's talk about what a sales channel is. A sales channel is a process for making products available for sale. So there's two key points there, the products and the sales. And where you come in is that process that makes it all happen. So we implement sales channels, and you're going to be implementing sales channels by building apps. So a sales channel, we can also think of it as an app that publishes product data from Shopify in some interesting way and facilitates sales in also some interesting way. So we kind of have the functional definition and then how we implement them. From the merchant's point of view, you might be familiar with this. This is a little crop of part of the product detail page. So this merchant has a number of different sales channels installed in their shop, and they're able to publish their products to a bunch of different places in a bunch of different ways. They can click this Facebook checkbox, and when that happens, we have a Facebook channel. We implement it as an app, and we worked with Facebook to get all of this working. And when that happens, when the merchant clicks that checkbox, product listings end up going from Shopify to the sales channel. In Facebook's case, those product listings come both via webhooks and also the REST API. But depending on if you're implementing things on the server or mobile clients or in the browser, you're going to be using slightly different APIs. You might not be using webhooks because you might not have a server to receive them at. But ultimately, you're consuming these product listings. Once you get the product listings, you're going to be presenting them to users in some way, to the customers. So the sales channel publishes products in a way that provides a unique customer experience. This is where the magic is. This is, this could be on Facebook, could be in an online store. So this is Shopify's online store. POS. POS is an interesting case because it's the app itself. The app itself isn't meant for customers to be browsing products. The merchant uses the app, but still, it's the app's job to manage that process of products are coming from the Shopify platform and sales are happening. So there's this link between the products and then the checkouts. So here's mobile pay, and really where you all come in, is bringing this anywhere and everywhere. Could be vending machines, VR, robots, anything you can imagine, and we want you to imagine all kinds of things that we can't think of. Anywhere you can deploy code you can build a sales channel on Shopify. So once the product listings have been presented to customers in some way or dealt with by your sales channel, the customer is somehow presented with these products and likes them so much that they're going to buy a bunch of them, and then checkouts happen. And when the checkouts happen, you use the checkout API, which Maxime is going to be talking about a bit later, and then it shows up for merchants labeled. The orders are then attributed to your sales channel. So first, I'm going to talk about the product listings API in a little bit more detail. A product is, it's something sold by a shop. Maybe that's obvious. But this is going to give us a basis for understanding what a product listing is. A lot of you have already worked with the products API that we have. You might know that you can get access to the titles and HTML descriptions, images, variants of a product. Each product has different variants with different prices. So what's a product listing? Each product listing corresponds to a single product, but it's a view of that product as seen by a sales channel. So it lets us give you a tailored view of the shop's product data that you should present to customers. So when you get a list of product listings using an endpoint like this, it's just for your app, and it's tailored for your app. And for now, what that means is that you're only going to be getting the product listings that a merchant has decided they want you to publish in your sales channel. So each sales channel consumes its own set of product listings, but they all come from the same underlying set of products. So here we see a bunch of sales channels coexisting, and they each have their own views. Right now, these views are they look almost exactly the same as the representation of products. So when you look at that, the endpoint I showed a second ago, it's going to look a lot like a product's endpoint. There's a few differences that are detailed in the API docs, which are available today. And in the future, these endpoints are going to let us tailor these views further to give you data that is particular to your sales channel and associated with the products. So collections have their own collection listings, and they work basically the same way. So we have, there's going to be there's already a similar visibility list for merchants to control where collections show up on different channels. Not every channel needs to worry about collections. If you're just dealing with one product at a time, or if you're creating widgets, something like the buy button, and you're only ever selling one product at a time, you might not need to worry about collections. So not all sales channels need to consume collection listings, but they're there especially for channels that are providing alternate online storefronts and other similar channels like that. So this is kind of an overview of product listings and collection listings. There's a lot more detail in the documentation. But really, what I want to, the main message that I want you to leave with is that the core models that we're exposing with these APIs are really the most fundamental models within our platform. It's this connection between the products, the offers that a merchant is making to offer their goods and services for sale, and the fact that those things are then consumed by the channel, and the channel then facilitates sales in their own way. So now I'm going to hand it over to Maxime, who is going to talk about the checkout API.
Thank you, James, for the introduction. My name is Maxime Bedard, and I'm a software developer for the checkout team back at Shopify Montreal. Today, I'm here to talk about a project that I'm really excited about, which is the checkout API. It's been a project that I've been working on for more than a year and a half, and we've worked really hard toward building an API that is really easy to use, and that is at the that is the centerpiece of the multi-channel strategy, and that is present to facilitate sales through your sales channel. Before we begin, I think it's very important to ask ourselves, what is checkout? According to the Webster Dictionary, a checkout is a place or area where goods are paid for. On Shopify, this place is essentially the web checkout. From the very beginning of Shopify, this was done through our web checkout interface in order to provide the best contextual experience to our customers. So essentially, the customer would browse the merchant's online store, would add products to their cart, convert that cart into a checkout in order to submit all their personal information, their credit card information, in order to complete their payment and their purchase. Over the years, we've worked really hard toward building the best experience as possible. We've gathered a lot of feedback, made a lot of research, a lot of experiments in order to provide a simple yet really efficient checkout process that drives our 240K merchants. And however, the tough reality is that people not only buy from the online stores, but they buy pretty much from everywhere. Today, I'm here to talk about an API that makes this possible, that brings that integration into a very simple and easy to use API. So instead of waiting of the customer to come to your web channel, to your online store channel, to browse products and add them to their checkout, complete their purchase, you are now able to bring that experience to them through your sales channel. Like James and Sadish mentioned earlier, we've already used that API to build our own existing channels, but we've also used it to build our own point-of-sales channel, which has a completely different subsets than these others that these social channels are using, which provide a lot more functionalities. Concretely, the checkout API is the glue that brings everything together. So it uses the product listing that James mentioned, the collection listings, in order to create a checkout that would be used to collect the information of the customer in order to create a purchase. Let's start digging on how you could use the checkout API within your apps. Essentially, the checkout process can take many shapes and forms depending on your integration, but that checkout process is essentially 4 very important steps. So first of all, you would create the checkout resource with the cart information, which would be your line items, the line items you would want to purchase. For instance, it would contain the variance and the quantity. From there, you would be able to update that resource as many times as necessary, depending on what information the customers provide you. From there, you would be able to submit your credit card information to our credit card vault for security purposes. And last but not least, the payment information can be created with the credit card that has been vaulted previously. So what if we take back the example that James mentioned of a vending machine? Let's say I would like to create my own sales channel that sells products from a vending machine all around the world. I would be able to add, let's say, T-shirts on a vending machine, and I would like to track sales from these vending machines all over the world. How would I have to do that right now with the current API would be something really extravagant and something really weird. For instance, we would have to attach an iPad to an existing vending machine, redirect the customer to the online store, and make them choose the products they want to purchase. From there, we would have to go to the usual checkout process and afterward listen to webhooks in order to submit the actual product that was selected by the user. And after the purchase was completed, give the product to that user. Like, this doesn't really make sense in a case of a vending machine. Why wouldn't we be able to provide our own interface, our own interaction with that vending machine in order to provide the best experience possible for the customer for that very specific use case? This is where the Checkout API comes from. So using this API, it makes all that existing behavior very simple. So first of all, the customer would press on a button, select the actual products he wants to purchase, and from there, our vending machine would make the first API call. So it would create the checkout resource on Shopify, saying which line item we want to purchase, and from there, we would get the response back with the actual checkout resource that has been created on Shopify, and all the checkout information. So you would have the customer billing address, shipping address, the taxes, the total price, and a lot more information. From there, we could update that resource as many times as we want with all the other information that we have. So let's say our vending machine is a bit more tricky than that, but it can provide functionalities to change the quantity we want per purchase. So we would be able to do an update call to our checkout resource, add another item to our list, and then continue with our own checkout process, exactly as we would. We could even provide, let's say, an email address, a shipping address, a billing address, any information necessary to actually complete the checkout process, and we would get contextual validation depending on the fields we submit. So for instance, if I submit an email address, and that email address is invalid, we would get contextual information on that very specific email address. But if I don't submit that email address, we wouldn't get any contextual validation since we haven't submitted that field yet. From there, we submit our credit card information to our credit card vault. This information would be submitted to the vault essentially just for security purposes, and it would return us a token that can be used later on in the checkout process to actually complete the payment and process the credit card with the payment provider. Finally, that payment token can be sent back to Shopify through the Checkout API. And that token, what would that token do is that it would fetch the actual credit card information from our vault and pass it along to the merchant's payment provider. So we don't even have to wonder what's the actual setting of the merchant for his payment provider. This way, we abstract all that logic and all that complexity in order to just focus on the actual payment information. So far, I've talked a lot about the customer experience, but the merchant also has many benefits from all of this process. This allows, especially the merchant, to be able to sell products exactly where their clientele is, so they can reach way more easily their clients. Also, like James mentioned earlier, every request that is made through the Checkout API will automatically be assigned to their sales channel. So for instance, you build your vending machine sales channel, you would have your own information to the admin, so the merchant would be able to get reports according to which sales channel sells the most products, and a lot more information regarding that. From a partner to merchant's perspective, it has also the added benefits to provide a lot more customization options for your app. I really suggest to stay later on today for Jerome, Gary's, and Nick talk about making money with your Shopify app. They will go in all the details regarding all the customization options that you can do with the new billing APIs. So our vending machine example was really simple. It was really it focused really on the very core of the Checkout API, but the API can do a lot more. So let's say we have shippable products. We can provide shipping rates for these products on every request, And this way, we can display them to the customer and let them choose which shipping rates they want to use. But you can also make use of discount codes, gift cards codes, and you can even process payments through Apple Pay via the mobile SDK, which is essentially using the checkout API. Essentially, we've built an awesome checkout experience. We've worked really hard throughout the years in order to be able to create the best experience as possible. But that experience, we've decided to bring it back to you and let you build the best checkout experience that you can do within your sales channel. The documentation will be online shortly, by the end of the day, and the actual release will be soon, by the very end of April. It's already up. Awesome. Thanks.